In the heart of a sleepy little village nestled within a valley of towering pines, the world was wrapped in the stillness of a snow-covered Christmas Eve. Soft, white flakes drifted gently from the sky, settling on rooftops and tree branches, muffling all sound except for the occasional creak of a settling house or the faint whistle of a winter wind. Inside one of the quaint cottages, a warm glow flickered through frosted windows. The golden light of the fireplace danced across the wooden beams of the ceiling, filling the small room with a comforting warmth. A young boy named Oliver sat by the window, his chin resting on his hands as he gazed out at the snowy garden. The scent of cinnamon and pine filled the air, mingling with the faint crackle of the fire. A plate of untouched gingerbread cookies sat on a table nearby, next to a tall glass of milk, intended for Santa, though Oliver wasn't entirely sure if the man in red would visit this year. Oliver sighed, his breath fogging up the frosty glass. "I wonder," he whispered, "if Christmas is still magical." He had always loved the season, but this year felt different. The warmth in his heart had dimmed, replaced by a quiet longing he couldn't quite name. As he stared into the night, something caught his eye, a small light, faint and golden, flitting across the garden like a firefly. It danced between the snow-laden bushes and hovered near the edge of the trees, glowing brighter with each passing moment. "That's strange," Oliver murmured. His curiosity was piqued. Sliding off the window seat, he wrapped himself in a thick scarf and coat, pulled on his boots, and quietly slipped out the door, leaving behind the warmth of the cottage. The crisp night air kissed Oliver's cheeks, turning them rosy as he trudged through the snow. The glow of the cottage windows faded behind him, replaced by the soft shimmers of moonlight on the untouched snow. The golden light beckoned him, weaving gracefully through the trees. Each step he took seemed to muffle the world further, until all he could hear was the crunch of snow beneath his boots and the occasional tinkle of a distant sleigh bell. The air was alive with a quiet magic that seemed to hum just beneath the surface. Icicles hanging from branches sparkled like crystals, and the snowflakes falling around him seemed almost purposeful, as though they were guiding him forward. As Oliver approached the edge of the woods, he felt a strange sense of anticipation, like he was on the verge of discovering something extraordinary. The golden light paused ahead, hovering just above the snow, and then disappeared into the dense forest. He hesitated for a moment. "Should I follow?" he wondered aloud. But his heart, filled with curiosity and a touch of hope, urged him onward. The forest was a world of its own, cloaked in shadow, yet shimmering with enchantment. The trees, tall and ancient, stood like silent guardians, their branches intertwined to form a canopy that glittered with frost. Oliver followed the faint trail left by the golden light, his steps careful and deliberate. Suddenly, a voice, soft and melodic, broke the silence. "Do not fear, young one." Startled, Oliver turned to see a figure emerging from behind a snow-covered tree. It was an elf, no taller than Oliver himself, with silvery hair that cascaded like a waterfall over their shoulders. Their eyes sparkled like the morning sun on fresh snow, and their robes shimmered as though woven from moonlight. Who are you?" Oliver asked, his voice trembling more from awe than fear. "I am Elwyn, a snow elf," the figure replied, their voice as soft as the winter breeze. "And you, Oliver, have been chosen to help spread the true spirit of Christmas." Oliver blinked in surprise. "Me? But I'm just a boy." Elwyn smiled gently. "It is not your size or age that matters, but the kindness within your heart. Follow me, and you shall see." With a wave of their hand, Elwyn conjured a path of glowing snowflakes that wound deeper into the forest. Oliver hesitated for only a moment before stepping onto the trail, his wonder growing with each step. The path led to a hidden glade where a magnificent tree stood at its center. Its branches were adorned with shimmering ornaments and twinkling lights that seemed to hold the stars themselves. Around the tree bustled a group of tiny creatures, elves, reindeer, and even a family of snowmen, all working together in perfect harmony. "This," Elwyn said, "is the heart of Christmas. It is here that the spirit of the season is nurtured and sent out into the world." Oliver watched in awe as the elves prepared sparkling packages, each glowing faintly with a warm golden light. "Each gift," Elwyn explained, "is filled with kindness, hope, and love. But this year, a special task awaits, a task only you can complete." Elwyn led Oliver to a small sleigh, where a single beautifully wrapped gift sat. Its ribbon shimmered like a rainbow, and its tag read, "To the lonely heart." "You must deliver this gift," Elwyn said, "to someone who has lost the magic of Christmas. It is a simple act of kindness that can reignite the spirit in even the coldest heart." Oliver nodded, his resolve firm. "I'll do it." The journey to deliver the gift was filled with quiet challenges, crossing icy streams, navigating snowy fields, and meeting other magical creatures who offered guidance and encouragement. Along the way, Oliver reflected on the true meaning of Christmas and the importance of spreading kindness. Finally, Oliver arrived at a small, lonely house on the outskirts of the village. The windows were dark, and the air around it felt heavy with sadness. Oliver hesitated, clutching the gift tightly. But then he remembered Elwyn's words and knocked gently on the door. An elderly woman answered, her eyes weary but kind. "Who are you, child?" she asked softly. "I brought you something," Oliver replied, holding out the gift. woman's eyes filled with tears as she accepted the package. Inside, she found a small, glowing ornament that filled the room with warmth and light. As she held it, a smile spread across her face, a smile that seemed to melt away years of sorrow. "Thank you," she whispered. "You've reminded me of the joy I had forgotten." As Oliver made his way back to the forest, the sky began to lighten with the first hints of dawn. Elwyn met him at the edge of the glade, their smile radiant. "You have done well, Oliver," they said. "The gift you delivered was more than just a present. It was a reminder of the kindness and love that make Christmas magical." Back in his warm cottage, Oliver climbed into bed, his heart full of joy and contentment. Outside, the snow continued to fall softly, wrapping the world in a peaceful hush. And as the village slumbered beneath the starlit sky, the spirit of Christmas lingered in the air, a quiet promise of warmth, hope, and kindness for all who believed. It was a quiet Christmas Eve in the little village of Silverbrook, where snow blanketed the rooftops like frosting on gingerbread houses. The streets, lined with twinkling fairy lights, were silent save for the soft crunch of snow underfoot and the occasional whisper of wind carrying the faint scent of pine. Inside one of the cozy cottages on the edge of the village, a girl named Clara sat by the fireplace, her hands wrapped around a steaming mug of cocoa. The flames crackled softly, casting dancing shadows on the walls adorned with garlands and ornaments. Clara's room was warm and inviting, yet her heart carried a quiet longing. On the mantel above the fireplace sat a peculiar snow globe, its glass glinting in the firelight. It was an heirloom passed down through her family, its miniature Christmas village enclosed within a swirl of glittering snow. Clara had always found it enchanting, but tonight it seemed to glow faintly, as though it held a secret waiting to be uncovered. Outside, the world was hushed and magical. Clara pressed her nose to the frosted window pane, gazing at the snow-covered garden. "I wish," she whispered, her breath fogging the glass, "I could see the magic of Christmas for myself." As if in answer, the snow globe trembled slightly on the mantel, catching Clara's eye. She turned, puzzled, and walked toward it. As she reached out, the glow inside the globe intensified, and a soft melody began to play. A sound both familiar and otherworldly. Clara's fingers brushed the cool glass of the snow globe, and the world around her seemed to shift. The crackle of the fire grew distant, replaced by the soft tinkling of bells and the muffled hush of falling snow. She turned the snow globe over, watching the glittering snow swirl around the tiny village inside. But this time, the scene seemed to come alive. Tiny lights twinkled in the windows of the miniature houses, and a plume of smoke curled from one of the chimneys. Suddenly, a soft voice whispered, "Clara." Startled, she looked around the room, but no one was there. The voice came again, faint yet melodic, and seemed to be coming from the snow globe itself. Clara held the globe closer. The glow grew stronger, filling the room with a golden light. The air felt warmer, and the scent of fresh pine needles and baked gingerbread filled her senses. The world outside the window seemed to blur and shift. Snowflakes began to fall faster, each one shimmering like tiny stars. "Step closer," the voice said, inviting but gentle. And before Clara could question, she felt herself being drawn into the snow globe's world. When Clara opened her eyes, she found herself standing at the edge of a sparkling Christmas village. The streets were paved with shimmering cobblestones, and every house was adorned with wreaths and twinkling lights. The air was alive with the sound of carolers singing and the faint jingle of sleigh bells. A warm glow emanated from every corner of the village, and the snow on the ground sparkled as though infused with starlight. "Welcome, Clara," said a cheerful voice. She turned to see a small figure standing beside her, a snow elf, no taller than her waist, dressed in a coat that shimmered like freshly fallen snow. The elf's face was kind, with rosy cheeks and bright blue eyes. "I'm Noel," said the elf with a bow. "We've been expecting you." Clara blinked in surprise. "Expecting me? How is that possible?" "All will be explained," Noel said with a smile. "But first, you must see the village." Noel led Clara through the streets, introducing her to the bustling life of the magical Christmas village. They passed bakeries where the scent of warm pastries wafted through the air, toy shops filled with laughter, and a shimmering ice rink where children spun and twirled with joy. "Every corner of this village holds a piece of Christmas magic," Noel explained. "But we need your help to restore its heart." Clara's curiosity grew. "Restore its heart? What do you mean?" Noel gestured toward the center of the village, where a magnificent tree stood. It was the tallest Clara had ever seen, its branches stretching high into the starlit sky. But its lights flickered weakly, and the star at its top was dim. "The star of Christmas has lost its light," Noel said solemnly. "Without it, the magic of the season fades." Noel handed Clara a small, glowing charm shaped like a snowflake. "This will guide you," he said. "To relight the star of Christmas, you must find 3 pieces of the lost magic: kindness, gratitude, and joy." Clara nodded, her determination growing. "Where do I start?" Noel pointed to a distant path lined with glowing lanterns. "Follow the path. The village will guide you." Clara's journey began with a visit to a cozy bakery where a group of elves struggled to finish baking cookies for the villagers. Seeing their exhaustion, Clara stepped in to help, her kindness filling the room with warmth. As the last cookie was baked, a faint golden light appeared, swirling into the charm she carried. Next, Clara found herself at a workshop where a young elf was repairing an old toy for a child. The elf's hands trembled with fatigue, but Clara encouraged him, reminding him of the joy his work would bring. As the toy was completed, another golden light filled the charm. Finally, Clara visited the ice rink, where a young reindeer stood alone, afraid to join the others. Clara coaxed it onto the ice, cheering as it found its confidence and began to skate. The laughter and joy of the moment lit the charm once more. With all 3 pieces of magic gathered, Clara returned to the great tree. Noel and the other villagers awaited her, their faces filled with hope. Clara held the glowing charm aloft, and the golden light spiraled upward, reaching the star of Christmas. Slowly, the star began to glow, its light spreading across the tree and into the village. Cheers erupted as the village came alive with even greater warmth and magic. The carolers sang louder, the lights twinkled brighter, and the air was filled with the scent of joy and celebration. Noel turned to Clara, his eyes twinkling. "You've restored the heart of Christmas. Thank you." Clara smiled, feeling a warmth in her heart she'd never known before. As the golden light faded, Clara found herself back in her cozy cottage, the snow globe resting in her hands. The fire crackled softly, and the world outside was still and serene. She looked into the snow globe, now glowing faintly, and saw the village inside, bustling with life. A smile spread across her face as she placed the globe back on the mantle. As Clara climbed into bed, the world outside began to quiet, snow falling softly like a lullaby. And as she drifted to sleep, she carried with her the magic of the enchanted snow globe, a reminder that kindness, gratitude, and joy were the true heart of Christmas. And in the silent stillness of Christmas Eve, the world felt brighter, wrapped in the warmth of love and the promise of magic. It was Christmas Eve in the quaint village of Evergreen Hollow, where every cobblestone street was blanketed with soft, powdery snow. The night was peaceful, with the kind of stillness that only winter could bring. Twinkling lights adorned every house, casting a warm golden glow that reflected off the frosty windows. The scent of pine and freshly baked gingerbread lingered in the crisp air, carried gently by a quiet breeze. In a small cottage at the edge of the village, a young girl named Eliza sat by the window, her chin resting on her hands. She gazed out at the snowy landscape where the pine trees stood tall like silent guardians under a sky full of stars. Inside the cottage, a fire crackled merrily in the hearth, its warmth wrapping the room in a comforting embrace. The room was cozy, adorned with garlands of holly and a Christmas tree decorated with handmade ornaments. Yet, despite the festive surroundings, Eliza's heart felt heavy. She was thinking about her grandmother, who used to tell her stories of the Christmas star, a magical light that brought hope and joy to the world. But this year, the star was missing. The sky seemed dimmer, and even the brightest lights in the village couldn't chase away the shadows in her heart. Eliza sighed, her breath fogging up the frosty window pane. "I wish I could find the Christmas star," she whispered. As if in response, a soft golden light flickered in the distance, just beyond the edge of the forest. Eliza blinked, her heart skipping a beat. The light grew brighter, shimmering like a beacon calling her. "Eliza," a gentle voice whispered, though no one else was in the room. Startled but curious, she turned to see a small, glowing ornament on the Christmas tree. It pulsed faintly with light, as if urging her to follow the mysterious glow outside. Wrapping herself in a thick scarf and coat, Eliza slipped on her boots and stepped out into the snowy night. The golden light in the distance danced like a firefly, leading her toward the forest. The cold air nipped at Eliza's cheeks as she trudged through the snow, her boots leaving small, crisp imprints behind her. The village lights faded into the background, and the silence of the forest enveloped her. The trees were tall and majestic, their branches heavy with snow. Moonlight filtered through the canopy, casting shimmering patterns on the ground. The golden light ahead of her flickered and swayed, as if it were alive, guiding her deeper into the woods. As she walked, Eliza's heart filled with a mix of excitement and wonder. She could hear faint, distant sounds, the tinkling of bells, the soft hum of a melody carried on the wind. The forest felt alive, as though it were waiting for her. Suddenly, the golden light paused near a clearing, hovering like a star just above the snow. Eliza stepped closer, her breath catching as the light transformed into a small, glowing star. It pulsed gently, illuminating the clearing with a warm, magical glow. "Liza," the voice came again, clearer this time. "You've been chosen to help restore the Christmas star." Eliza turned to see a shimmering figure stepping out from behind the trees. It was a snow elf, her silver robes glittering like frost in the moonlight. Her eyes sparkled with kindness, and her voice was as soft as the falling snow. "I am Leora," the snow elf said with a bow, "guardian of the Christmas star. It has gone missing, and without it, the magic of Christmas is fading." Eliza stared at the elf in awe. "Why has it disappeared?" Leora's expression turned solemn. "The star's light is fueled by hope, joy, and kindness. But over time, these qualities have dimmed in the hearts of many. It is up to you, Eliza, to find the pieces of its light and restore it." Eliza nodded, her heart swelling with determination. "I'll do whatever it takes." Leora smiled, handing Eliza a small crystal orb that glowed faintly. "This is the heart of the star. It will guide you to where the light can be found." With that, the clearing began to shimmer, and the trees transformed into arches of ice that sparkled like diamonds. A path of glowing snowflakes appeared, leading deeper into the magical forest. Eliza followed the path, her breath visible in the frosty air. The forest opened into a series of wondrous locations: a frozen lake that glittered like a mirror, a field of glowing holly bushes, and finally, a cozy village filled with magical creatures. The village was unlike anything Eliza had ever seen. Tiny cottages made of gingerbread and candy canes lined the streets, and the air was filled with the cheerful sound of carolers. Magical creatures bustled about, their faces alight with curiosity as they noticed Eliza. Leora reappeared beside her. To restore the star, you must complete 3 tasks. Each task will teach you the meaning of hope, joy, and kindness. The first task led Eliza to a workshop where a group of elves was struggling to finish making toys. "We've fallen behind," one elf said, his face full of worry. "Without these toys, many children will go without gifts this year." Eliza rolled up her sleeves and joined the elves, helping them paint and assemble the toys. As they worked together, laughter filled the room, and the once dim workshop began to glow. A fragment of golden light appeared, merging with the crystal orb in Eliza's hand. Next, Leora guided Eliza to a frozen pond where a young reindeer stood alone, its head low. "She's lost her confidence," Leora explained. "She doesn't believe she can fly." Eliza approached the reindeer gently, speaking words of encouragement. Slowly, the reindeer lifted its head, and with a leap, it soared into the sky, leaving a trail of sparkling light. Another fragment of the star's light filled the orb. For the final task, Eliza entered a small, dimly lit house where a family sat in silence. They had little food, no gifts, and their faces were etched with worry. Eliza placed the glowing orb in the center of the room, and it bathed the family in warm light. Smiles spread across their faces as they shared stories and laughter. The last fragment of light joined the orb. With the crystal orb now glowing brightly, Leora led Eliza to the tallest hill in the magical forest. At its peak stood a great tree, its branches bare and its star missing. "Eliza, it's time," Leora said. Eliza held the glowing orb high above her head, and the light within it burst forth, spiraling up to the tree. The star reappeared, its light shining brighter than ever before. The tree's branches sparkled with life, and the forest was filled with a golden glow that spread far and wide. Cheers erupted from the magical creatures below, their joy echoing through the forest. Leora turned to Eliza, her eyes filled with gratitude. "You've restored the heart of Christmas," Eliza. Thank you." As the forest began to fade, Eliza found herself back in her cozy cottage, the crystal orb now resting on her mantle. The fire crackled softly, and the world outside was still and serene. She looked out the window and saw the Christmas star shining brightly in the sky, its light filling her heart with warmth and hope. As Eliza climbed into bed, she smiled, knowing she had helped bring back the magic of Christmas. Outside, snow fell gently, wrapping the world in a peaceful hush. And as the village of Evergreen Hollow slept under the starlit sky, the light of the Christmas star shone brightly, a reminder that hope, joy, and kindness could always bring the world together.